What's good, y'all? Shay here, your accountability coach and ghetto psychologist, and it is my life's purpose to help Black people navigate this patriarchal system of white supremacy. Y'all, I'm gonna be straight up. Emotionally, I am not all the way there today. Um, I had just some two inconveniences happen to me today, like right back to back. The energy basically has been off since I went to bed last night. So I'm not all the way here, but I felt called to go ahead and just get on here and make a video. The last week also, I have not been feeling like doing content and just trying to focus on what's really ahead of me day to day. So y'all, again, I'm trying, but if y'all see me be going, just know I'm trying to get a video, right? And I want to be more consistent with this, but life be life, so I'm as consistent as I can be. I'm more consistent than I have been in years, so that's a big plus. But enough about me. I just wanted to share that in a message that when you don't feel like doing something, just do it anyway. And it's something about, I'm sorry if I get emotional, if you hear me quivering in my voice, I'm trying not to cry. But it's something about when you are called to do something, and I'm gonna talk even more about this in this video, but it's something about when you called to do something that you get to a point where you just can't stop. God won't let you stop, especially when you had that relationship. You won't stop. So for me, I can't stop. I might slow down, might take a little break, but I don't stop. Even over the last 5 years that I've had this channel, there's been times where I would be consistent for a moment and then stop. But I come back. And this time I don't think I'm gonna do that. I think the consistency is here. It's just that I might taper off a little bit, but I don't think I'll ever be gone longer than a month. So just keep that in mind. So now that that's somewhat off my chest, I have the main thing that inspired me to even get on here and make this video today, despite the circumstances of today's event, is a message I picked up when I was watching Cam Newton interview, or his conversation, I say. Didn't feel like that much of an interview, but his conversation with Jason Wilson. You have to go look at it. Go look at Cam Newton's channel. You on here on YouTube. And I think this is his most recent interview. Jason Wilson. Excuse me if you hear that. I want to preface with this, and I want people to know, because if you heard it before, so what? It's always new people on the channel. And I know a lot of people will be like, why you always want to preface with this? Because I don't want people to get anything misconstrued about me if possible, if possible. But whatever you misconstrue is also not completely up to me to clear up. Your opinion to me doesn't matter. To me, really. But I want y'all to understand, I don't identify myself as being a Christian. I am a Christ follower. And people be like, well, what's the difference? It's a huge difference to me. And I might try to explain it in more terms that you might understand, but it might just be something specific to me. But I feel like there's a lot of people in here that follow in this world that follow Christ, but they don't necessarily follow Christianity. And the one thing I want y'all to understand why I don't consider myself a Christian, the main important thing to me is that I just simply don't consider Jesus like this Son of God any more than you and I are the Son of God. When they refer to the Son, the Father, and the Holy Spirit, the Son is all of us. It's all of God's children. It's not just Jesus, in my opinion, because Jesus, yes, indeed, was very special. But we gotta stop acting like Jesus was the only special person, right? And we gotta also stop acting like some of that book that we call the Bible and we rely on to be the definitive 100% word of God has been altered. And y'all gotta stop acting like when man is involved in the creation of something that it can't be somewhat tainted. Even the Bible says that mankind taint things. We taint things. That's the whole part of being a human. We can't help it. Even when we try to be as pure as possible, sometimes things become tainted. So this interview with Cam Newton and Jason Wilson, okay, I will also preface with this. I did not see the complete interview, as it is a long interview, and I am someone who sometimes I can't just complete something like that in one sitting. But from what I did see, Cam Newton is like he said this, and I'm not gonna quote him word for word, but he said the average person, Christian, thinks like he does. Right? He said it. I'm paraphrasing, but you gotta go look at the video and you'll see the part where he says that. And the sad part is he is right. And that is also another reason why I can't identify with being a Christian, because when I did identify with being a Christian, I did think somewhat like Cam Newton and the average Christian. But I'm gonna tell y'all straight up, in my opinion, the average Christian is not a true follower of Christ. The average Christian does not even have a real relationship with our Creator. Sure, maybe you can have a relationship with Christ. I do too, but I also have a relationship with my Creator, because I personally, like I said, don't believe that Jesus is the only Son of God. I don't believe that He is the only way that I can get to my Creator. That sounds crazy to me. When the Holy Spirit dwells inside of me, God always said the kingdom of heaven is in all of us. You telling me the only way I can reach my Creator is through Jesus Christ? No disrespect to Him, because that's my homeboy, right? I fuck with Christ the long way. But it's like, no, I don't believe that. I can't. Not with the way I have a relationship with my Creator. It just don't work like that for me, right? Because I can pray to God and not say anything I want. Let me tell you something. I don't even have to say anything out loud to pray to God anyway and get what I want. But I can just not even use Jesus Christ in the name of Jesus Christ. I don't have to say it in the name. I don't have to get what I want. And a lot of y'all feel like when somebody says that, that means, oh, you ain't praying to the same God. Okay, well, maybe not. Maybe you're not praying to the right one then. But I am one of those people that I believe that that one true God that we have shows up in numerous different types of forms. I believe that. So I'm not going to even say you wrong if you think Jesus is God, whatever. That's how you perceive it. But I personally just think Jesus is a man who had extraordinary gifts, who loved God the way that we all should love God, and that loved humanity the way that we all should love humanity. That compassion, that willingness to stand up for what's right, despite the human that presents themselves, that shit is powerful to me. And this is why I always make these statements about Jesus. I always honor Jesus. I think I honor Jesus more than most people who consider themselves Christian. Because a lot of y'all, you want to know what y'all honor more than you honor Jesus? The Bible. I don't honor the Bible. I don't. Sorry. God ain't told me I'm wrong yet about that. That don't mean I don't read it. That don't mean I don't reference it. Because it's awesome to reference. Got some good shit in it, motherfucker. To be honest. Right? But it's not everything to me. Sorry. However, yes, the story of Jesus itself, the more I know, the more I learn, the more I get tapped into where I should be in life. I'm like, damn, I am low key like, I'm low key like my bro. I'm low key like my homeboy Jesus. Nobody can deny that to me when it comes to certain aspects of how I move. I want to say this, I'm not somebody that was always found, that was always saved, right? It was plenty times in my relationship with God, even though I found God at 10. I think I talked about this in one of my most previous videos. I wasn't always that close with God, even though at one point I was. My relationship with God fluctuated throughout the years, which I think for most of us, that's true, right? Even the most saved person in the world right now can tell you there was a time where they just weren't listening to God. They was just doing their own motherfucking thing, right? And excuse me, I use spicy language, but cursing is not a bad thing. Cursing people is not a bad thing. I mean, cursing people is a bad thing, but cursing, using curse words that we define to be curse words, which I don't know how fuck would be a curse word unless I say fuck you, right? That is me essentially cursing you. But if I'm saying it in the sense of I'm using it in exchange for sex or, you know what I mean? Anyway, that's a whole nother topic. But no, for real, y'all. So let's get back to this interview. And in this interview, y'all, the little boy in Cam really reared its ugly head. Cam, and I'm going to talk about this, I'm going to try to talk about this the way I was thinking about it earlier. Cam is one of those people who is very manipulative, right? He knows how to deflect. He knows how to evade questions. He knows how to create derail you from your point by creating a question within a question. Is very good at it. And even Jason said that. And I've already noticed that. Even when it started with this interview years ago, because it's been about 2 years, I think, with Dr. Bryant, right? And even though sometimes I be like, okay, girl, I don't know if I can agree with everything you say, but for the most part, I do agree with a lot of things that she says. In that interview with him, that was when we finally, well, I don't even know, I want to say finally, but that was when we began to see how immature Cam could be. But the thing is, since Dr. Bryant was a woman, the reaction is always going to be more geared to she don't know what she's talking about, right? Everybody tries to undermine the woman. But with this interview with Jason, it's undeniable. Cam is a little boy, right? Or at least the little boy in him is still very prevalent in needing to be tamed. Cam and I are around the same age. Actually, I think he might be a little bit older than me by maybe about a year. But we're the same age. We graduated the same year. So um Cam is the average man around his age, the average Black man around his age. So to see him, right, in this interview and the way he deflected and the way it was really obvious is crazy because, okay, like I was saying, Cam is really one of those people who he might not have knowledge of a subject, or maybe he has minimal knowledge of the subject, but no matter who he's in front of, he has to present as if he's a know-it-all, like he knows what he's talking about, right? He's very egotistical in that way, where he wants people to know, oh, I am that nigga. I know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm doing. Nobody can get me off my square type shit, right? Problem is when you have minimum knowledge of something and you're up against somebody who does the research, has been doing the research, knows more about their subject than you do, and you begin to challenge them. The more you challenge them, the angrier you get because the more they pull your card and reveal that you're the one that does not know what you're talking about. That is exactly what played out in this interview with Jason Wilson. Cam don't care if you don't know what he's talking about. He don't care if he's sitting against somebody who's done decades of research and lived and had the experience. He don't give a damn. He's gonna make sure he challenges what you are talking about if it doesn't fit what he believes. He gonna challenge it. And so we gotta understand there are educated opinions. There are opinions that are wrong. You can have a wrong opinion. Guess what? When you go to the doctor, a doctor is really just giving you their opinion. Can a doctor give you the wrong opinion? Absolutely. And this is the same thing, right? When you don't use all the evidence that can be available to you, if you don't do the research, if you don't know anything, you don't have any experience or something, you don't have the right really to challenge someone on their knowledge because you don't even know that if what they're saying is going to be true or not. You challenge people when you are in the same field. You have the same level of awareness, the same level of experience. That is when you challenge someone. You don't challenge your boss about their job description unless you know fully what their job description is and or you have actually held that job before. You can't tell somebody what they're doing is wrong and you don't know unless, again, like I said, you do the research or you have the experience. So Kim's one of those people, it doesn't matter. He's gonna do it, gonna challenge. And he's gonna look stupid in the midst of doing it. And he's been doing this for, like I said, at least the last year, just challenging people who are more knowledgeable in the field and not really looking smart as he think he is. And I'm not saying that Cam is dumb, because I know somebody's like, well, you think you're dumb? No, I don't really think he's dumb per se. I think he's just one of those people that cannot connect dots, right? He's one of those people who he's arrogant, right? So an arrogant person presents to know or be better than what they really believe they are deep down, or what they really are, or what they really know. They act like they know more than they know. I hate to use the term humble. I don't know what else to use. No, I don't like that term humble. Let's see. A more down to earth person, right? A more real, honest, and authentic person will let you know, hey, I don't know. Just like Jason Wilson in the interviews, like, hey, I really don't know. I'll do the research. I'll see. Let's see. Let me pull out my phone. Let me see. And he did the research. This is what you're supposed to do when you're having these conversations or debates, right? A lot of y'all would have never lasted on a debate team. You would have hated yourself. Because you would have just been in there doing what Cam did, or you would have been in there and probably trying to talk down on others, trying to result to ad hominem, meaning that you're going to, instead of make them feel, instead of arguing the point, I'm sorry, you're going to make them feel like they're the stupid one. So that's what Cam was trying to do. He was trying to make Jason seem like the stupid one, or like he didn't know what he was talking about. And all he did was reveal that he didn't know what he was talking about. You have to be careful with people like Cam because it's the only reason it was way more respectful is because Jason is a man. Not only is Jason a man, he's an older man, but even still, an older Black man who you know is more knowledgeable, who you sought out to have an interview on your podcast, who you respected and revered their message. You let this man come and sit on your couch, your chair, and you challenged him. I don't know. I don't even know if it's a conscious thing that he does, but he does it. And it's, to me, it's, I won't say it's like, oh, it's just so disrespectful, but it's borderline. Don't have me on your podcast to challenge my theories on marriage when you know you are afraid of it. You're hurt behind marriage for whatever reason. I don't know what kind of marriage his parents have, but it makes me have fear, right? It makes him have fear. Because whatever he saw in marriage, whatever he's been seeing, whatever's been modeled for him, he is completely petrified. And in his petrification, I don't even know if that's a word, it might be, but in his petrification, he's still, he's externalizing. He's externalizing that fear by still having relations that married people, that only married people are supposed to have according to Christian values, right? Only married people are supposed to be having sex according to Christian values. We all know that, right? I do, right? And I'm starting to understand why. And I'm gonna get on to that too. But instead of, right, honoring that part of those Christian values where you know you are not supposed to be having sex, premarital sex, you're not supposed to be out here fornicating. And then even if you are in a relationship with a woman and you say that, and he said that marriage to him is a connection, right? I don't know if he ever expounded on that because, again, like I said, I didn't watch the whole interview. But he said to him, marriage is a connection. Okay, cool. Well, if we're going to use that, it is vague. But if that's what we're going to use, are you not married to your current baby mama? Because ain't they, don't they move? They may live together. She pregnant or about to have another baby by him. So y'all got two babies, two new babies, or one is coming up. You live together. Y'all claim each other somewhat. So are you married? And if you're not married, then you're fornicating. And if you're fornicating, that means you are deliberately going against your Christian values or what people would say God said is not right. You're shacking, as the old folks say. And you know it. You know better, but you're not doing better. So when you are someone who you deliberately go against what your values are taught to be, because out of fear of something, right? You fear to be married because of divorce, which if you fear the negative side of something, that means, of course, you don't deserve the positive side of it either. Oh my God, stop, camera. But I'm gonna repeat that. If you fear the negative side of something, that means you don't deserve the positive side of it either. But the thing is, Cam thinks he deserves what marriage looks like, what it's supposed to be, but he doesn't want to be married. So he's dishonoring God, and in that dishonoring, he's not getting, he's thinking he's getting what he wants, but he's not. He's not receiving favor. I'm honest with you, I do believe that married people, healthily married people, receive more favor than other people. As an unmarried person, as a single person, I understand marriage, which is why I don't know if I ever will be married. I'm very much so like Jesus. Jesus was never married. It's a path, right, that some of us are on where we might not ever find our person. Or if we find our person, it's gonna be in the midst of the purest part of our life, right? So I don't know if my person is coming. I'm gonna tell y'all full disclosure. I talked about this before, and I don't care. I've been celibate for a very long time, just to make it personal. I've been celibate. It's gonna be 2 years in January. And I don't know why I get giddy when I think about that, because it's blowing my fucking mind, y'all. It's 2 years. And this is why I be feeling like, okay, and to get on to the point that I said I was gonna get on, I'm learning in this time that yes, sex is not something that you just go out and do willy-nilly, and you have to be honest and to be frank, you have to kind of go through a stage in your life where you're doing that in order to really know. Some of us have to go through and say that. In order to really know that sex is just really not as necessary as we make it, we over sexualize every fucking thing. We over sexualize everything to the point where we don't even talk to our children about sex. We make it so taboo. But hello, you know what you are? The result of sex. Your parents fucked and you're here. So we cannot be afraid to talk about sex. We have to be afraid of the promotion of it. There's a lot of promotion instead of a lot of education. Education is not promotion. Be clear. Yes, promotion should be educational, But education is not promotion. Me teaching your 5-year-old the basic and the anatomy of the opposite gender, there's nothing wrong with your little girl knowing that daddy has a penis. If you want to call it something different just to make you feel better, fine. Pee-pee. Daddy has wee. Mommy has pee-pee. Right? But at least put in a term that if they say it to an adult, they know what they're talking about, right? Because you want them to know. I did not know at 5 years old, right? And I was inappropriately touched, right? I don't know, we get into a deeper side, but trust me, I'm gonna get back on the rails. I'm gonna go back to Cam in that interview, but this is important. Obviously, again, when I open up and this might come on, is God using me and my testimony to kind of help reach somebody who watched this video, no matter when they watch it. But we have to understand that when you resort to a life of sexual deviance, and I'm speaking from firsthand experience, there's levels to it. I want you to know I'm going on dick shit. But whether you just a hoe that is promiscuous or you're someone who gets paid for sex, or you're someone who you just run to sex to escape, you're depressive or you have a lot of anxiety and you feel like sex helps to alleviate that. If you're one of those people, there's your flesh leading you, and that's fine because we human, and to be human is to already be led by your flesh. But you have to get to a point where you start to understand whether you identify as Christian, whether you are Muslim, Buddhist, all of these religions or spiritual aspects will tell you how important and sacred sex really is, even though it is an animalistic act, even though you can just do it to be doing it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not here to judge people who do that because I once was that, and who knows what my life might lead up into. I'm not one of those people that act like I'm above any fucking thing. I'm a very unpredictable person. I don't know what life do for me, you know? But if you start to realize that sex is not something that just because you can have it, you should do it. It's really a reward. It is. And I feel like the reward of it is not necessarily you have to go and just be married, right? Because I do agree with Cam that marriage is somewhat just a connection. It's not fully defined by paperwork. People were married before the government, right? They didn't have to be signed on anything to say they were married. It's just simple, hey, we together, I love you, we're man and wife, we're one, we're a team, we're doing this for a lifetime. That's what we was doing in the old days. So that being said, we don't have to always get the government involved in your shit for it to be a real marriage. You can be married and just have like certain other documentation outside of a marriage certificate to tie y'all together. Just so the people out here know. Excuse me. So I do agree with Cam there where I do feel like marriage is a connection, even though that's a vague and broad way to say it. However, he also said that he was not married. So you're willingly, like I said, fornicating. You're going against God's value, but you think that you're a man of God. That's what you're claiming. It's hypocrisy. And that's a very bad sin. Right? It's one of the sins that God, Jesus, actually, I'm sorry, dislikes the most. He hated hypocrisy. You can't have a certain value and then move against it. It's a contradiction. You're lying to yourself. Because yeah, you can say you lying to other people, whoop-de-doo. But ain't nothing worse than the lies you tell yourself. And Cam Newton lies to himself. And like I said, a lot of the average Christians, a lot of the average men, right, Black men, they lie to themselves about their value. They overflate or inflate, whatever, their value. This is a problem because God does not like that. I don't care what you get in material world. We can say, oh yes, Cam Newton is very materially blessed. For sure. Right? How in the ever, he probably ain't making as much money as we think. He got all his kids he's taking care of, right? And he went on record to say he's not making the same money he was making when he was playing in the NFL. Duh, you should know that. But that's not saying that of course, he's still making money. The nigga got paid. That nigga still $1 million out. At least for now. No heavy shit. I hope he keep all his money. I hope it grows for real. I hope it multiplies. Cam, if you ever see this, bro, I'm not one of the people. When I critique people, I do not want the worst for them. I just see what I see. I see the real, right? And I'm real enough, even in that Young Thug video that I talked about. Cam and Young Thug, Atlanta men, very similar, where they are wordsmiths. We some wordsmiths right here. I want y'all to understand, y'all be thinking that people from Atlanta don't know how to talk slick. We some slick motherfuckers. Okay? How in the ever again would I see that mirrored in those two videos of Cam and versus Cam with Jason Wilson versus the video with Thug and Big Bank is there is a sense of some self-awareness, which is always admirable for me. That's always the first thing. When you know yourself to an extent, right? Or even when you felt like you didn't know a part of yourself, but you have a revelation in the conversation and you admit that, that's admirable to me. And both of these men pretty much did that. Even though it was hard for Cam to do, he admitted that he was wrong. He didn't know. Well, he didn't admit he was wrong. He admitted that he didn't know something. And I always tell my daughter this. I respect people who admit when they don't know something. Because see, my daughter sometimes, just to get her tea a little bit, she pretends to know something that she doesn't know. And then when I pull her card and find out that she doesn't know, I tell her it's more irritating to find out that somebody acts like or thinks that they know something or says that they know something, knowing that they don't know it. Nothing is more irritating than that. And most people would agree. Because I would prefer you to be like, oh, I don't know it. Oh, cool. Now I can just show you. But we wasting time with me having to pull it out of you to really understand that you really don't know what you talked about. And that's the same thing that it felt like in that interview. However, when Cam finally got to the point where he was like, you know what? I saw the switch. It was like, okay, he's right. I don't know. He's like, I don't know. I don't know. He said it twice. And then after that, he humbled himself, right? As much as I don't like that term, I could see that he realized he had to. Because you were up against not only an older man, an older black man that's married, an older black man of God, right? Of devout Christian faith. And who Jason said something very real. I'm gonna get to that. But an older man of devout Christian faith, you are talking to this man as if he don't know what the fuck he talking about. So when you realize that, no, it's really you that you don't know what you're talking about, you humble yourself. And I saw that switch and he let Jason lead the conversation a little bit better. I fuck with that because people need that. This is what I do. This is a part of my purpose. And going to that, Jason said something so profound to me. He said, I can't remember how he worded the question, but I think Jason asked Cam, what do you think I would be doing if I wasn't called to do this or if I wasn't here? Cam did make it a little funny. He said, oh, reading your Bible. It was funny. It was funny. But Jason openly admitted, he said, no, I'll be on the farm, ducked off somewhere, basically. I wouldn't be talking to none of y'all. Let me tell you something. You heard what I said at the top of this video. When you called to do something, you can't not do it. The shit is annoying. When you are fully called, I'm gonna say it this way. When you are fully called to do something and you have such a relationship and commitment to God and yourself, you can't ignore that feeling, that voice that tells you, oh girl, you got to do what you were meant to do. Sure, you might not like talking to people. You might not like how people debate what you say. I'm talking about myself. You might not like having to get in front of the camera. You might not like having to edit videos sometimes. You might not like social media. I hate social media right now. You might not like men sometimes. You might not like black people sometimes. You might not like women sometimes. You might not like yourself sometimes. But guess what? Doesn't matter. I bet you gonna get your ass up and turn that mic on. You gonna turn that camera on. You gonna get that phone. You gonna edit sometimes. Sure, you're only one person. You can only do so much, right? But you're doing it. And one day it's gonna elevate to a point where you ain't even gonna have to do the stuff that you don't want to do. And everything that you stood for is still gonna live on forever. This is why I'm making it intellectual property now, right? But God called me to do this, and I can't ignore the calling, no matter how much I don't like some things about it. I love this shit though, because I love the feeling I get when my messages are well received, even if it's just by one person. I love it when somebody affirms me and they like, you know what? I've never heard somebody say it the way you said it. My lips so dry. I'm sorry, y'all. But I love when I feel like I'm making the change that I'm supposed to be making, right? That's the that's the Jesus thing, as I like to call it, right? Because that was what Jesus was doing. Do you think that Jesus really wanted to do what he had to do with these people? I'm sure so many things aggravated him. We already know he was aggravated quite a few times with people. And that aggravation is so fucking real. But it doesn't change the fact that I love humanity. I do. To the point that it pains me. I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna do that. I love humanity so much to the point that it pains me how we treat each other. I said I was not going to cry. I'm sorry, I do not like to cry on social media. That shit way to me. But here I am. I don't like the way we treat each other. Right? I hate it a lot. I hate that as I present myself as a Black woman, that I, in the back of my mind, always have to have my guard up because I don't know if somebody's just gonna hate me just because I exist. I hate that. I hate that so much because I literally love everybody. I love everybody. I don't feel like because you white, you gotta be bad, but I know that you might have a higher propensity to be. I'm not stupid, right? So I gotta be real cautious with you. If you're a man, same thing. Gotta be real cautious with you. And I hate that because I don't want to live my life feeling like I gotta be so overly guarded when it comes to other humans. And despite that though, I show up as myself authentically no matter who's in front of me. And a lot of people fuck with me for that, right? I am a huge embodiment of love. And because sometimes my messages feel like I might be attacking people. I'm not attacking you. I'm holding you accountable. Sometimes y'all can't understand the difference. And that is why Cam reacted the way that he reacted in that interview. Jason Wilson was trying to hold a fellow younger Black man accountable, and it felt like an attack to him. Accountability is not an attack. I will tell y'all, I'm not a perfect person. I don't even want to be a perfect person because that feels too robotic to me. I want to be human all the way because that's what God made me as. And that is why I love the human experience as much as I hate it. And that's very strong on both ends. So, with that being said, we have to learn to learn. We have to learn how to learn. And when we learn how to learn, and that's one thing that Cam needed that a lesson in. What I mean by that is you have to know the people that you can learn from. And I'm going to say, just because I'm presenting in front of you, just because I do have credentials, yes, when I call myself a clinical psychologist, I do have a master's degree in psychology. Yes, I soon will be certified to practice psychology. Yes, I am going to school for psychology. And even outside of school, I have learned psychology in my own leisure and pastime. I am certified life coach. I am a certified cognitive behavior. I don't want to say therapy. What's the word I'm looking for? Facilitator. I am certified in a lot of things, psychological, a lot of things therapy related. I know human behavior, right? Do you see what this says? Be never mind. But it's behavior. I understand behavior. That is what that is. So even despite me having the credentials that I just listed, just because I have them, I mean you gotta listen to me. But if something in your heart tells you, hey, I think this person knows what they're talking about, you gotta learn to learn and not always challenge something just because it feels uncomfortable, unfamiliar to you. Because I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to challenge you as somebody who has the expertise. Because that's what experts are supposed to do. You, as the learner, you only challenge me when you don't understand something. But you don't challenge me in a way that like Cam did. You're trying to prove a point that I don't know what I'm talking about, or prove a point that is an antithesis to what I'm saying. That's not what we do. As a student, be a good student. So that's what learning to learn is. We have to learn to be good students to each other. And just like Jason said, sometimes we can't think about what the person who's teaching us in that moment presents themselves as. It could be an 8-year-old, like he said. Baby, I done learned from so many people younger than me, or even when people younger than me just talk about who they are and what they want to do in their life, and they just have a certain type of drive that does something for me, right? It means a lot. And I do nothing but uplift those kids because they are our future. So I'm gonna make one more point and then I'm gonna get off here. There was a moment, like I said, where we're in the interview they were talking about fornication and adultery and how Cam, right? Jason didn't say this explicitly in the clips that I saw. He might have said it in an interview, but he didn't say it explicitly in the clips that I saw. How Cam basically moves in a manner of recklessness when it comes to reproduction. He asked a question, and I don't know if this applied to him or not. Probably did. Seems like it did. It was very specific. Um, there was a moment where Jason was talking about why men are not active fathers, right? And there's men that he mentored who he knows are not active fathers, and people would hold Jason accountable or try to by saying, why do you always allow them the space, right? Why are you not pushing them to be more active? And Jason said something that I already knew that I have spoken about Black men or men in general, but we're talking about Black men specifically right now to me. And he said that a lot of men who choose not to be fathers is not because that they don't want to be. Most of them want to be fathers. They want to be there. But a number of reasons to help hold them back. They feel inadequate because maybe they don't have the money, maybe they don't have the wherewithal, they don't have the knowledge of a good father, they don't have the spiritual awareness, whatever it is, they just feel inadequate where they don't want to let their children down, right? So they decide it's better for them not to be in their children's life than it is to be in it. I personally think that was my own father, right? So sometimes I feel for my dad when I think of it that way, and I still love him, but the absence, intent over impact. Yeah, you think that staying away from me, I'm sorry, will Let me stop hitting that cord. You think that staying away from me as a father will make my life better, but it really did it. I would never know otherwise. However, your intention was to stay away to make my life better, but the impact was in my mind it didn't. In my mind, it didn't. As a child, I don't think his absence made my life better. So going back to that, Jason said on top of that that maybe they also have a contentious relationship with the mother, right? So those two reasons that he named. I don't know if he named the third, but I know that Cam added. Because I cannot add that maybe he didn't want to be a father in the first place. Now, let's talk about that. I want to put a pin in that right there. Because again, I think he was speaking from personal. Cam has, at this point, what, 6 or 7 kids of his own? I know he's taking care of two of his sister's children. So those are not kids that are out of his own loins. So I spare him for that. And that's very big of a man to take care of somebody else's kids, no matter whether they're relative or not. However, the kids that he still had on out his own loins is a number of them. Don't know the count right now. No. It might be going on 7 now. If you are someone who you know you don't want to be a father, why would you? And Jason didn't ask this question. I wish he would have. I know he said something maybe close to what I'm saying. I'm gonna go back and actually I'm gonna replay it on here. I'm gonna replay it on here for you guys. I'm gonna do something interactive. However, back to that. If a man, woman, I don't give a damn what gender, but if it's a man and you know you don't want to be a father, you should do everything to prevent that. I have spoken about this. I want to say I've spoken about it in the Young Thug video or the Nick Cannon video. I don't know. Hell, everybody acting the same. These niggas is acting the same. The breeding mindset. You should do everything though in your power to keep it from happening. There is no reason why, if you know you don't want children, you are having children. What changed your mind? Your recklessness? Because you didn't know. You did know. You knew that having sex could result in a baby. And you did know that once a baby is conceived in a woman's belly, because you are a man, you don't have any real choice after that. Yeah, she could tell you all day she's gonna go get an abortion, but really the ultimate and final choice is hers. And a lot of times that hurts you guys as men because you're upset you don't have that much control. Go to God about it. He made it that way, right? She made it that way. They made it that way. So Cam asked that question for a specific reason. And I'm gonna see if I can find, let me get to the point. Hold on. Let me see if I can get to the part where he asked that question. Bear with me, young, beautiful people who are watching. Enough intellect, enough to offer. Okay, here we go. This is right on cue. It's best not to be around or they're at odds with the mother of the child. Their absence does more harm than their presence. And then a lot of times the presents, the gifts, is misconstrued as a father's presence. That's what my dad would do. When he would hurt me emotionally or his absence, he would go buy me a little game. I didn't care about the present. I needed you around. I needed you to say, like Most High said to Yeshua, Jesus, this is my son whom I'm well pleased. Can I interject right? Yes, sir. Please. Okay, so you gave 2 examples of why father may be out of why, yeah, at odds with the mom or just don't feel inadequate. We add to that. Please, I just gave a couple. Okay. Yeah. It's no right or wrong list, but I would add, what if he never wanted to be a father? Now let's deal with this. What do you think I'd rather be doing right now? Reading your Bible? No. You're hilarious. I love y'all's word though. But as far as professionally, let me be more specific. I ain't gonna lie, that was pretty funny. All right. I think you know, I right now,
or on a ranch with animals. When I accepted this calling, I didn't know what all came with it. When you lay down with that woman and you take that move, you may have sex with her, and you get her pregnant, she had that child. You may not know what all came with it, but you better do what you're supposed to do. I fear being on the other side of his judgment. I accepted the call, and I be a man, show myself a man. I got patellofemoral pain syndrome in both knees. My knees are hurting me right now talking to you. But I put that aside for his glory. That's what I'm saying to that. Yeah, I didn't plan on getting my wife pregnant. Oop, they knocked the ball out my hand. Ball fell down. I hesitated. It took me like 4 years to really realize what a man should be doing, man to y'all. I said, you know what? Let me dive on this ball. I praise him for that because I was lost, man. I was going down the wrong path. I looked happy, had it all together, and I didn't. I was miserable. Never again. So I choose obedience over sacrifice so that he can be pleased. That's what God told Job, son. I'm with you, bro.
All right, so let's talk about this, right? Because I need a lot of Black men to understand this. I really wish I was so big right now so this could get out everywhere. When y'all decide to be reckless with reproduction, reproductively irresponsible, as I like to say, if you do it one time, that's cool. I think everybody deserves one, maybe even two fuck ups, right? Maybe two. I mean, two, maybe. Depending on who you ask me, I don't want to give you two. I'll give you one. But some people might give you two. That's cool. But you're allowed. We all are allowed to fuck up because everybody is unconditionally loved by a creator. So you should unconditionally love yourself even through your mistakes. Because in my mind, there are no mistakes. I made a video about this. However, the most important thing Jason said, and I wrote it down, it says, I choose obedience over sacrifice. Which ultimately means I'm going to sacrifice anything in order to be obedient. That's what I hear it as, even though he worded it different. That means, hey, I might be afraid of being a father because I didn't really intend for it to happen. But I can't ignore what I know God likes or God wants. God will never want a man to not be a father. Just do what you can, do your best. Some of y'all are not even doing your best, right? Because you're too afraid that your best is not going to be good enough. So you just give up before you even motherfucking try. You don't even be in their life. So you're not even trying. God is very displeased with that. And a lot of y'all don't receive favor. I will say, like I said, Cam is one of those men, he step up, he do what he's supposed to do. So I can't fault him. But I do feel like maybe at one point he didn't want kids and he fucked around here, he got the first girl pregnant, and it was downhill ever since. So we gotta keep these things in mind when it comes to serving God. Are you really a godly person? Do you have a real relationship with your creator? Because a lot of y'all say that, like Cam too, and you really don't have a real relationship. Sure, you might read the Bible. Sure, you might go to church. Cam talked about that too, where well, Jason really talked about it too, where a lot of people, and I wrote this in my book. I want y'all to know. This is time stamp. I wrote this in my book before I even saw this interview. Okay, how people will really rate their Christianity or how Christian they are, how holy they are. They rate their holiness based on how often they go to church. So that being said, right, we got to realize that when you have a real relationship with God, there's certain ways of movement that you either immediately it stops or you just learn to tamper off from it, right? And sex is one of those things that we all, I feel like, if you're an adult and you're sexually active, that a lot of us need to learn how to move away from, especially if you are a man. Men, you guys are more ruled by your flesh. Y'all are more ruled by this 3D world because y'all don't have what women have. Y'all don't have that feminine energy, nor do you have those feminine parts. I have a portal in my body, right? I am by predisposition a little bit more in tune spiritually than a man is. It's factual. I don't care what y'all say. Even though this is an opinion, it's still fact. I bet they gonna make a fact out of it one day. Bet. Anyway, no. But no, so as a woman, I just feel like I can't. And as a man, men shouldn't either. Let's be clear, but I feel like men are more ruled by their flesh. So it's hard for them to break out of that. It's hard for them to see outside of the 3D and recognize what it means to be a man of God for real. Don't mean going to church. It don't mean knowing the fucking Bible. It means how do you walk? Are you really a true follower of Christ? Like I said, from what we know, Christ was not, he didn't get married, he didn't have children. Damn, did he die a virgin? No, no, that's debatable. It's debatable. They say some say he died a virgin, and some people are like, don't know about that. But we know at the very least that that Jesus was not reckless with his reproduction. Mm. Even if he did have sex, he wasn't just fucking. You know what I mean? Just like me, I had sex. I ain't just fucking though. Right? And I'm glad the clarity. Right? It's a reason why we should withhold from sex because, like everybody has been saying, it is not only an energy exchange; it's a reward. It's something that we should seek with people that we love and a foundation that we created with of a beautiful relationship with somebody. I ain't saying you gotta wait for marriage. I don't particularly believe that either. I believe that that rule that was set in the Bible, right? Again, this is why even in the Bible it tells you to seek counsel from your creator, right? No matter what you read in that Bible, seek counsel. So you pray on it, you meditate on it. I don't believe that fornication means you can't have sex in relationships. I believe that fornication means that if you don't have a connection, it's when you are promiscuous. You're out here being reckless. You're just fucking people and you have no true connection besides the fact that you want to fuck, right? That is fornication to me. Me being in a committed relationship with somebody who I've known for 6 months to years, and we decided we had a conversation before we even did anything that, hey, this is what I want, this is what I want. Okay, we are working towards a marriage. We have full intention. We got a connection, like Kim said. I don't believe in that to be fornication. Again, this I could be wrong, but this is just belief. We don't know nothing. Yeah, you know what the Bible say, but the Bible again, what I said at the top of this video, tainted by mankind. And also it was created in a time where the average lifespan was 30 years old. Of course, you better hurry up and get married. You're gonna die soon. How you gonna have children if you know? So y'all choose obedience over sacrifice. That's the real message. Learn how to be obedient to God, not the word in the Bible specifically, unless you feel moved by it, but by the word that you hear in your heart, because that's God's voice, or that's God's sending a message to you emotionally. That is our source to God. Well, a lot of us men especially cut themselves off from their emotions, not understanding that that's your real link to the creator. The creator is going to speak to you through your emotions. Some of us might hear a voice, but a lot of us just get a feeling. Now, me, I get both. Lucky me, right? Sometimes. But y'all have to Learn to build that relationship with your creator. I don't give a damn what your religion is. How locked in are you with God? How much do you rock with God's number one creation, which is you? God's number one creation is you, us individual, right? But you, in your mind, you should be God's number one creation. Because this is a body that you are going to live in for the rest of your life here. You have to love everything about yourself unconditionally as God has it said. Because that's the only way you're gonna learn how to love God unconditionally and anybody else. A lot of times people do believe this. There's a group of people, I can't remember the name, but many of us were, well, many subsets of spirituality believe that God is within us, but a lot of people just think that we are gods. I don't see anything wrong with either way. But what you gotta understand is your power within comes from a powerful source, and that source is love. And if you have a part of yourself that you don't love, right? It's okay to not like parts of yourself and to work towards improving those things. But if it's something about you that makes you utterly sick that you can't live with yourself, there's no way you can love God unconditionally because you are an extension of him, she, them. You're an extension of it. So any part of yourself that you don't like, that you don't love, okay, that you don't love, that you hate, that you're in fear of, that you have an aversion, realize that aversion and fear are synonymous. I hope y'all know that. But you have an aversion to it. You're trying not to be that, and you're fighting so hard against it that sometimes you become more of it the more you try to suppress it. But whatever it is, get over it and understand that until you do, you won't have you won't have the best relationship with God as you can. I promise you that. I promise you. I love myself very unconditionally. I love myself to the point where, excuse me, I can sit here and tell you all my flaws. I can tell you all the wrong decisions I made, and I feel no malice about it. Like, because it had to happen. It was important. I don't think I'm less valuable because I went through the experiences. I don't think that I'm dumb because I went through the experiences. I don't hate myself because I allowed some of these things to happen. No, I don't. I don't. It's the beauty of these things make you you, no matter how bad they are. In a previous video, like I said, God don't make no mistakes. So that means even your mistakes ain't mistakes. They meant to happen. And you just have to learn from it. The biggest mistake out of your mistake is not to learn how to learn from it. That's it. Not committing the act. So I pray, God, please, God, I'm gonna make this prayer right here. These messages that you put on my heart to extend to whoever is watching, the viewers, please give me the means, give me the spirit, give me the ability to push these videos out to the souls that need to see it. Because you know, and I know, these messages are important. Amen. Thank you guys for watching. Love you. Bye.